Somebody who was building the agenda thought it would be a good idea to have me on at 8:30 with a Chicago accent delivering a lot of numbers. So for the next 30 minutes, we're going to go through the benchmark data. Like Brian introduced, the benchmark is something we do every year. And the hope of this presentation is that you take home something, you think about it on your flights or your drives home, and how you can bring information to better inform your planning for what you're going to do for the remainder of 2026 and then for years beyond. So are you guys up for that for the next 29 minutes and 19 seconds? All right, good, because that's what we have. So why are we here and why now? So we talked a little bit about market trends. We had some good stuff. We had some technology previews and some case studies and successes. So why here, why now? We're starting off day 3. Everybody's going to start taking all the information they absorbed during the conference, thinking about it, processing it, figuring out how to turn that into next year's big wins. So the first thing we saw so far, a little bit of a recap, we saw Lee kick it off. We saw Amy Machado's survey information talk about trends in the market. We saw Kate talk about that yesterday before we went to the aquarium. So we brought a lot of information about market trends so you have a better sense of the future from the start of the conference. We also showed you how to do things. So who went to any of the smart bars? Who got accessories from all 4 of the smart bars? All right, so we had some good ones because I saw some awesome Lego pictures. So you saw previews of how to capture the future. We had on stage, we had Heidi, Vip, Chris, Yanni showing things that are about to come out in the product, about to expand the way you can engage with your customers and earn trust. You saw where this works. We saw some incredible panel discussions. People were sharing how this technology has helped them better connect with their customers and deliver great customer insights, great customer experiences. And then one of our favorites is the video. Who choked up during that video? I sure did, because the big thing took away from that, my takeaway was that while they're helping customers in a critical life-changing moment, there's also a good employee experience that's part of that. So to earn that customer trust, we have to support our employees with great seamless experiences. So far in the conference, we saw what you should be working on, how you can make that future happen, where it's been done before, and who's impacted by it. Now this session is about the benchmark data, like Brian mentioned. So we did a survey. Every year we do a survey. We had almost 4,000 respondents this year. We slice it and dice it by vertical. So we'll have financial services, insurance, healthcare, and government cuts of this information that you can take as a document into your planning sessions as you plan your strategy for 2027 and beyond. This is a powerful planning tool because this benchmark data is your customer's seat at the table. This is the market's view of communications. And oftentimes communications are a budget item that seems to be cost optimized. But as you listen to some of Amy's presentation, you saw in Kate's presentation, and some of the other ones out there, these trends are important, and the benchmark data shows it. We break it out by industry, by generation, by location, trend, and gender. One of the things I want to talk about for location, Benelux took down an average this year. That's a new region. So Benelux, Nordics, and Singapore were new regions this year. So I'll call that one out. So I want to talk about 3 things today. I'm supposed to talk about 4, but I get a little presentation anxiety, so I only remember 3 of them for now. We're going to talk about trust, we're going to talk about channels, we're going to talk about concerns. First of all, you've seen this before. 85% of the customers, I'm going to say your customers because they're the general market, but this is your prospect base. So this is customers, consumers in general that are respondents to the benchmark survey. 85% of your customers say customer communications are important when it comes to their overall experience with the company. This is regardless of any of the industry swaths, 85%. One of the things we want to talk about is it's easier to switch than ever before. Every day you wake up, you're trying to retain your customers, And every day your competitors wake up, they're trying to get your customers. According to the benchmark, if you remember one thing as you pack up and go back to work for next Monday, the formula is pretty easy. Clear communications plus orchestrated journeys, designing for flexibility, that was one of my favorites, and proactive disclosures. That's the formula for success. And what you saw on stage already at the conference really shows that you can do that. So before we get into the data, I know you can do it. You've already seen all the ingredients to make this happen. So this is likelihood to switch vendors if communication experiences do not exceed expectations. So the quick takeaway here is roughly 2/3 of your customers will leave if you aren't understanding them. This is what we mean when we mean be moved. This is the market that you're communicating with, and all the other noise from all the other communications they're receiving from other vendors. When you displease them, 2/3 of them are willing to leave, and in particular, the millennials and Gen Z, they will leave the fastest, and they will leave first. So, I got a hand-raising question. It doesn't look like everybody wants to stand up this morning. So I'll let you go with hand raising. So have you switched vendors this year? Does anybody switch a telco or a wireless provider? All right, we got some of those. Any of these, auto finance, bank, credit card, health insurer, who has switched a major vendor in the last year? Because it's easier to switch than ever before. And we passed something on the way to the Shed Aquarium. If you looked out to the right on your way to the Shed Aquarium, you may have saw Soldier Field. We have some people, the Chicago Bears, that are maybe looking to switch state governments for more favorable tax treatment so they can play football on a garbage dump. I don't have any opinions on it. Now, that was we talked about the propensity to switch, right? So that's like kind of a bummer. But we're talking about trust here. There's a flip side. The excitement is contagious. So your Gen Z and millennials, if they have great service, they're not gatekeeping that. They're sharing that with others. They're very interested in letting their friends, family know where they're getting good service and where they're having positive experiences. So this is something you can take into a planning meeting and say, look, our channel strategy is maybe favoring a demographic that isn't as likely to recommend things. Let's switch up our channels and focus on the channels that the younger people see to recommend. So understanding how generational communications starts to tease out new customer strategies. You know you can do an addition by generation. You know? Anybody doing generational additions yet? All right. Next year, I want to see some hands for generational additions. All right, so 2025 was a huge year of improvement. The quick take here is 2 in 5 customers don't think the communications are very good or excellent. So this one, don't take it personally. You're here in this room, you're probably in the very good to excellent crew. But if you look, financial services, we had 2025 was a big year of uptick. There was a digital transformation year in 2024, so our 2025 results showed a pretty big spike. And they went down a little bit. Insurance and healthcare had a little bit of a bigger drop. Not necessarily the people in this room. We saw plenty of transformation stories, but this is about the white space in the market. This is about the places you can go and take new customers away from some of your competitors through effective communication. So we moved the scale up to 100. That's how much opportunity you have to improve and win new business by being amazing communicators. Because earlier we saw the people that think communications are very good or excellent have a massively high propensity to recommend. So if you're hitting them with your amazing communications, good additions, clear communications, great designs across channel. And here I'd like to call some of the people out that I know are great designers from past Innovates. I talked to Renee over there from Citizens Bank, and Lauren, I think one of the big Lego posters Lauren from Indiana Farm Bureau. I know we had some great discussions at previous Innovates about the importance of design. Amy mentioned it. Ugly is a choice when it comes to your customer communications. Ugly is a choice. A lot of times you're going to think right now, and you can close your eyes and raise your hands on this one. I hear a lot of times people say, but the regulators don't like it. Who says, I don't want to make it look nice because the regulator doesn't like it? So I've heard that a fair few times. Put yourself in the regulator's shoes for a minute. Do you think they only want to read 10-point Times New Roman with black lines on paper? No, they don't. If you sent a regulator a pop of color, you would probably make their month if you refile a document. They're like, what is this? What is this new experience? I'm seeing color as a regulator. You don't have to make ugly documents, and we know you have the tools and technology to make them beautiful. So we'll hit some other trust drivers here real fast. Ease of contacting a company, 91%. Accuracy is critically important. Data security, response time, consistency across channels, and proactive communications. Proactive communications is a brand new question for 2026 benchmark. But the consistency across channels, you're going to start seeing that show up in a couple different ways, especially when we talk about one of the Smart IQ trust drivers. Data security, response time, all these things, as you take them together, show that having a unified communication and customer engagement strategy that addresses all of the channels, is very responsive, you can deliver all these things. The more fractured your tech stack is, the more difficult it is to deliver these things. The more difficult it is to deliver these things, the more you're going to get those people who are likely to leave your brand. So all these go in harmony, and I think a lot of Amy's presentation brought that together. Now for Smart IQ, these questions were specifically about data collection. So these are data collection experiences, and these were the biggest changes of the year. Last year was the largest year for Smart IQ adoption in smart communications history, and it is showing results. So 62% of people who thought the data collection experience exceeded expectations, they were 8% more likely to leave a positive review, going up to 62. 2/3 more likely to recommend the company. So that space up at the top, that empty space, the people that did not think the documents exceeded expectations or were very good, those people are catchable and they're retainable. 66%, again, up 10%, are more likely to do business with you. And they're also 77%, up 13%, are willing to remain more loyal. And that means less customer maintenance costs. You get to keep your customers more, and the bottom line is stronger from excellent and amazing communications if you earn the trust. Now we talked about trust. Now we're going to shift over to channels for a little bit. Anybody know the number one channel? Who's going to guess? Number one channel. What is it? Wait, you know what? No. It's email. Who loves email? You know what? It's effective. It's pretty effective. And in fact, it's 9% more effective this year than last year. Email went up. Print and mail went up, so print and mail went up 4%, which is pretty big on a 12%, so it went up from 12 to 14. So your preferred channels. SMS went down. Earlier I mentioned we added a few regions, we added Benelux, we added Nordics, we added some Southeast Asia, Singapore. Singapore took the SMS down. SMS down 7 points from 18 to 11. It was kind of considered a scam channel. Does anybody get more than 5, not cool SMS messages on a day? Yeah, that's kind of it. And we have some questions specifically about what people don't like later. Web portal communications, solid, up 1. An encrypted message, down quite a bit. Encrypted messages down quite a bit. So what channels do you personally use? Does everybody like chatbots? Has anybody used one? When they're good, they're awesome. SMS, has anybody done business or executed a transaction with SMS? Pay a bill, that kind of stuff, okay. Web portals, probably everybody. Prints, some people. especially the younger people, may have spiders living in their mailbox they don't know about. They don't go to the box that often. Emails, encrypted messages. Anybody use encrypted messages with a vendor? Not real popular here. It's like LATAM, Southeast Asia. So this is some context questions, and these are some pretty amazing findings from Benchmark. 3 times, or if I turn up the Chicago accent, 3 times the Gen Xers prefer SMS to boomers. I know sometimes Gen Xers I know, they try and text their parents because it takes less time. I didn't have an hour, so I send a text message. 6 times in the US prefer SMS versus Benelux. So our new region, that was part of the downturn in SMS for that. And then 3 times as many prefer SMS for payment alerts. And policy documents, only 9% prefer SMS for policy documents. I think I might have to wear glasses because I read a policy document on a phone. But context matters, and people in different stages of their life and different moments that matter may use a channel that's atypical for them. And then more communications, more of your customers are needing accessible communications. Chris talked about this. He mentioned our VPAT. That's a voluntary product accessibility template that we get our software evaluated with, so we can understand how it's used and operated by assistive technology. And this question was 16% identified someone in their household needed an accessible communication. Now, if I take a look at this chart, there's a little bit of a head scratcher because some of the people on the left are less than 16%. I think the people on the right are helping them. Especially we see some of the breakout panels for financial services. There's an $84 trillion transfer of wealth from the boomers to the millennials and Gen Z. They're helping people. And they're helping people sometimes because the communication isn't accessible. And time is important. Accessible communications need to be ready right there. So I want you to go home and look around your business. Maybe talk to some of the departments that you don't talk to usually. Maybe you're before the sale or at the sale or after the sale communications, and some of the other communications are budgeted differently. Maybe payments and renewals are budgeted or controlled by different teams. Start asking them, are they doing post-composition accessibility remediation? Because that's expensive and it also takes time. Look at this, half of the people don't get the communication accessible in the same day. I mean, we're in an instant-on economy. You got to deliver that right away. And if you're letting something linger in a queue, it's not going to work. Now we're going to talk about some of the concerns. Okay, we're going into it's the end of Act 2 now. So we're going to take it to some dark places for a little bit. And this is what the market's concerned about. So when they called the contact center, what drove them to the contact center? Because they probably didn't want to be there, and you probably also didn't want to pay for it. So if they're in there, you want to make it effective, but they went to the contact center because the communication was unclear. Kate talked about that, about what scales yesterday. Could not access or find the documentation. That's a big one. Wasn't sure the request went through. Has anybody ordered a birthday cake at Costco? That's a stressful one. You just write a name on a paper, put it in a box, then you come back on the birthday. No status update. Like Elizabeth had the pizza tracker, there's no pizza tracker over there. So people want this status, and they want to know if their request went through. The information didn't match. This often happens when there's multiple systems. So you have a fractured tech stack. Some of it's amazing. All of your communications are measured by the one that does the best. The form was too confusing or too long. We got a way to help that, and hopefully you saw over at the Smart IQ Smart Bar ways to make that faster than ever before. The system didn't recognize previous interactions across channels. That's a killer when you have a broken tech stack. If you have a broken tech stack, your speed of change needs to be exactly harmonized. So with Smart Communications, we offer a harmonized tech stack so that you can make those messages move to the platform at the right time, consistently, so whatever channel somebody has, or if they even switch with SmartPath, it's always consistent. So one of the things that I like to talk about, because I'm over the product marketing for Smart Hub, is the retrieval revolution. We got a cool new piece on the site about that. Nearly 1 in 2 of US consumers needed access to a document that was more than 12 months old. Sometimes if you're selling a house, or if you're doing your taxes, which hopefully you got them done by the 15th, sometimes you need things that are old, like, hey, when did you buy that house? When did you pay for, when did you pay for those medical expenses? You might need that information. And that becomes more expensive to deliver, especially with legacy archive retrieval contracts. Legacy archive retrieval contracts were built on the concept that storage was cheap and retrieval was expensive, because when they designed the technology, storage was common and retrieval was rare. Well, now if you've got some customers that just got a bunch of Mac Minis running OpenClaw, they can just ask questions, say, hey, when was my largest transaction? And it will just say, they'll send OpenClaw will go out, use AI, download every document that you've given a customer for the past 60 months that's available, and now you have to pay for the retrieval of that. So that's something to look at as self-service, and AI is starting to help your customers that are doing self-service. Then 1 in 3 customers just aren't finding it easy to get documents. And they look, then they go to the call center. So this one was fun because the answer is the same. 54, 54, 54. These people are satisfied by the quality of omnichannel communications. We asked the same question, but we removed the word omnichannel. So when you say you're satisfied with the quality of communications, the very goods or excellence, do you think it goes up or down? All right, we see some downs. Well, actually, it goes up. The market in general thinks your channel-specific single-channel communications are 5 to 7% better than your omni-channel. They sense that your tech stack is not consistent and not harmonized. And it's worth 7 points of satisfaction. That one was pretty mind-blowing to us. So if you ask about an individual one, they're more happy. If they're like, how do we do omni-channel? Like, not so good, 7% less. So this was pretty consistent. That was one of the biggest surprises Ryan and I had when we went over this. And 1 in 4, in general, across generations, 1 in 4 people have stopped doing business with the company having to do with the data privacy or transparency concern. Get into the younger generations, less tolerance, 1 in 3. Does that track? Are you picking up people? I know. Sometimes you'll see those in the news data breaches. The millennials and Gen Zs, they're gone. They don't tolerate it. I did forget something. The 4th thing we're going to talk about was AI. So most customers are pretty optimistic, but their concerns linger. We asked a lot of new AI questions this year. And the biggest year-on-year increase was people were more concerned about the lack of human oversight. So I know I took a lot from Kate's presentation yesterday, but data privacy and security, they know that it's accessing data, making some light decisions, and making that information available, and they're worried about errors. So these are the things they're concerned about. Preserving content and content provenance and data lineage. Heidi talked a little bit about data lineage and how our AI strategy is working. We have a disclosure question. How do customers in financial services, healthcare, insurance, and government expect you to disclose AI usage? It's pretty high, so you should probably tell them. This isn't very difficult. It's a couple lines you can put on your website, on your portal, on your communications. Pretty easy. One of the interesting is 24% of the customers disagree that companies are using AI responsibly. Maybe they disagree because they don't know. Kind of harken back to Kate's presentation, like full disclosure about AI usage is important. The other one here is about how confident are you about AI handling information securely and ethically. So we asked the question, the 2 on the left are about securely. So in 2025, people are about 6 points more confident that you were using AI about your use of AI. And the hesitancy was about 22%. Hesitancy went up just a little bit, but that confidence went down. They're starting to think about ethics as well. Are you treating my data fine? Are you using AI against me as a customer, or are you using it to help improve the service of the business? So the hesitancy, went up quite a bit, went up about 5 points, and the confidence went down about 4 points. So think about, your customers are thinking about security and ethics in how you're rolling out AI. So you should probably tell them. So here's what they believe. So these are the benefits customers have. So if you're writing copy that says, we're using AI to help deliver faster response times, improve the accuracy of the communications we make for you. Or, this one's not real, this one, the customers say this, but I don't know if a lot of people in the room think, oh, we're gonna use AI and we're just gonna cut a bunch of costs and give you a check. Anybody doing that? No. Improve the bottom line, that makes sense. Proactive problem solving, that one keeps showing up. People wanna know when there's about to be a problem. Like, we detected a weird use of your credit card. There's a weird weather pattern near you, so we want to make sure in your homeowner's insurance, get that car in the garage, or your auto insurance. We're using it to make documents or experiences more accessible. So these are the kind of things you can include in some of your communications to make it easier to understand. Now, they have main concerns as well. So the concerns, you might want to write copy or address things, maybe not the one-page PDF on the internal page, but actually in the content you're engaging with the customers to let them know that you have their concerns in mind when you're designing adaptive experiences. Lack of human oversight, tell them your governance process. So we have a governance process where we have human in the loop, human on the loop, but you can write copy that's understandable. We're using it to eliminate errors by checking it against multiple sources. We're using it so that we can improve data security. And we're using it to make interactions more personal because of the information and data we have on you. So let them know how you're using it, and you can allay some of these concerns and improve some of the benefits. Now, the presentation's not quite over. So we had mentioned that this is great research. It's going to it's going to be available on the website. You can download this by region. So we have a U.S., Canada cut of the data, and we have that for financial services, healthcare, and insurance. We also have a government cut if you're interested as well. And the full report is there, and we intend for you to bring this into your planning meetings is data to represent the customers that maybe you don't have yet. Maybe these are your prospects. You can walk into the meeting with data like this that says, 40% of the customers will move if they're treated poorly, and we know our competitors are treating them poorly. Let's refresh some of our communication designs, improve our onboarding experiences, enable new self-service experiences, maybe with Smart Hub pulling from the portal, so that you can design a better end-to-end customer experience. This also helps you check some of your policies against some of those concerns. So you have the powerful presentation from Kate yesterday. You can make it real by showing what your customers really think and what customers in market think about using data as you create your next generation of communications for 2027 and beyond. And we saw in the data very clearly that communication is a differentiator. Poor communication and mistakes are a trigger for leaving. So you have some pretty powerful information. So what's next? We started talking about how customers view and build trust. We shared how they think and perceive your expression of communication across a variety of channels, and that email is never going to die. We learned that. We'll accept it, and we'll move on. It's okay. But guess what? If they have an undeliverable email, we have a super answer for that with SmartPath. We can knock it back down to that print channel and still meet their needs. And now you can move them. So you can make their own stories to move your customers. But right before you get rid of me, I don't know if you made it over in the corner and saw Eileen's booth. We're doing something new with Raven reviews. These reviews aren't like product reviews. These are real project reviews. So take a couple minutes and share some of your successes. Might be a small incentive there for you to complete one. We wanted to get one chance to to make sure that you could share how your progress and how your projects are proceeding so we can let the market know the rest of that. And with that, I'd like to thank you for 30 minutes this morning.